What's up, guys? Welcome back to King Kraken Sports. Mike here. If you missed earlier, I did the AFC East draft grades where I went through all four teams in that division. Right now, we're going to do the exact same thing for the AFC North. One of the more physical divisions in the entire NFL. These are just some old school, hit you in the mouth type of teams. And I think really all the teams did a pretty good job improving, and you'll find out what my grades are in a second. Let's start with the team that picked first. So yeah, the Steelers traded up from 20 to 10 to jump in front of Cincinnati, noticing that Devin White was long gone by then. They really weren't going to have much of a chance at a linebacker, and linebacker was their biggest need on this roster. Trading up for Devin Bush, I absolutely love it. I think low-key, the Steelers thought when they drafted Edmonds at the end of round one last year, they were getting the linebacker Edmonds, and instead they got the really shitty safety. So they actually get a good linebacker this year. They had to move up to do so, which the Steelers aren't really one to do, but they did it. They got my number 11 overall player at number 10. Fits a massive need. Great player. Great scheme fit. This is an A+. Round 3, I don't like this pick. This was the first pick they got from the Raiders in the Antonio Brown trade. So they go back to the same conference, the MAC. They get a receiver. It's just a massive reach, though. Deontay Johnson out of Toledo. This was not someone I had even watched yet. Didn't get around to him this year. Heard he was okay. Third round pick? No. This is, again, not on my board. This is a C grade, but this was also universally considered a massive reach. I really don't like this one. I think that they probably could have gone with the guy they picked at 83 at 66 instead, with Justin Lane, the corner out of Michigan State. I really don't know how Justin Lane made it to 83. He's a former wide receiver. He's still learning the position, so maybe that factored in, but that hasn't stopped teams in the past. He's tall. He's got ball skills. I don't understand the fall. He was 64th on my board. This is an A+ pick. And then this is probably my favorite pick of the entire draft. I'm not even kidding. Anyone who's watched this channel this year knows that I'm a big fan of Benny Snell, and it pained me when I had to start dropping Benny down the board due to just really not being as good of an athlete as many thought. This reminded me of the James Conner pick, because when James Conner was picked, he was the big thumping running back in college, with the more do-it-all running back in front of him and Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon's gone. James Conner's really kind of molded himself into that do-it-all type of running back. And Benny Snell is now the big thumping college productive running back coming in. They got him at 122. I had him at 76. This is an A+. I loved this pick. Zach Gentry, the tight end out of Michigan, was the pick at 141. This completed the Antonio Brown trade. So it was Antonio Brown for a MAC wide receiver and a Michigan tight end that didn't really do much in college. I gave this a B. Gentry was 201 on my board, but I just thought that there were much better tight ends still available, so I really couldn't grade it too highly. 175, Sutton Smith, the edge rusher out of Northern Illinois. They really do need to find someone that can get to the quarterback, because Bud Dupree sure as fuck can't. This was a pretty good pick. I had him at 224, maybe a round too early, but at that point, who really cares? Good player. I think that the Steelers are going to be able to get something out of him. I gave it a B. Isaiah Buggs at 202. I had him graded at 192. I gave it an A. And Derwin Gray, the Maryland offensive tackle, they got him at 219. I graded him at 220. So this is perfect value, apparently. I gave this an A. I think that the Steelers really do need to kind of add to that offensive line depth. Overall, this is a really good draft for Kevin Colbert, the Steelers. This is an A draft. Who they gonna be playing for the Bengals? That was a really corny intro, but I'm going to keep that in there for shits and gigs. Jonah Williams at 11. Obviously, with the linebackers not being there, they really kind of had to change their course. Their offensive tackles are garbage. Cordy Glenn is okay, but, they've had Jake Fisher. That didn't work. They had Cedric Ogbuehi. That didn't work. They paid Bobby Hart $7 million a year, and he's one of the worst players in the NFL. So they really do need an offensive tackle. Jonah Williams, the pick at 11. This is a major need. Williams was 6th on my board. I compared him to Joe Staley. Fantastic pick, fantastic value. I gave this an A+. I have no idea what the fuck the Bengals were thinking in round 2, though. Drew Sample, the blocking tight end out of Washington. I know the last time I made fun of a blocking tight end being picked early, it ended up being George Kittle. But, like, no. Just no. This was, what are you doing? This was too cute. Drew Sample wasn't even a guy I got around to watching, but, like, this was, again, universally considered a reach. Kind of like Deontay Johnson was for the Steelers. They actually picked him ahead of Deontay Johnson. Not on my board. I gave this a C. I guess they're going to be a power run team under Zach Taylor, which is not what I expected coming from a Sean McVay disciple, but okay. Yeah, universally considered a reach from those that did watch Sample. Gave this a C. Then I actually really liked Cincinnati's draft from that point on. Jermaine Pratt in round 3 at 72. I had him at 56. This was actually my 3rd ranked linebacker. I had him ahead of Mack Wilson, who we'll get to Mack Wilson in a minute. Yeah, absolutely loved this pick. Jermaine Pratt, one of my favorite players, converted safety, really good athlete, and just a thumper out of NC State. Loved it, A+. Speaking of NC State, their next pick went there as well. Ryan Finley at 104. I had him graded at 133. This is about where I thought Ryan Finley should have gone. I had heard round 1 and almost threw up in my mouth. I had heard round 2 and started cringing. This is where he should have gone. He's not anything special. I don't think he's ever really going to be a starter. He's going to be a spot starter at best. But if Dalton gets hurt, you're kind of fucked, and that's really why he was picked here. I gave it an A-. Another A- with the Rennell Wren pick. They got him at 125. I had him graded at 100. I like the value. Gave it an A-. Michael Jordan. Now, I gave this an A at 136. I had him at 106. I didn't realize it till this morning that he played his best in college when he was beside Billy Price. Billy Price playing center, him at guard. Starting center for the Cincinnati Bengals is Billy Price. I think that this might end up being a really good pick long term. I gave it an A. He may be able to show that this is an A+ pick. I love the value that they got on Michael Jordan. I was a little surprised he was still there at 136. Speaking of guys I was surprised were still available, Travion Williams out of Texas A&M, the running back, at 182. I had him graded at 136. I know people had Travion Williams as like their best running back in the class. Not that I would agree with that at all, but, you know, it was a pretty good pick. I think that this is the best possible guy that you could bring in to spell Joe Mixon. I think Gio Bernard getting a little long in the tooth, and also he's kind of dropped off in recent years. Mark Walton was just terrible last year. Yeah, this is your change of pace guy for Joe Mixon. This is a really good pick. Deshaun Davis, the linebacker out of Auburn at 210. I don't think I even watched 1 second of his film. This is a C just because, again, it either will work or it won't. Rodney Anderson, speaking of Oklahoma running backs, the guy that took over for Joe Mixon. Now, if Rodney Anderson wasn't hurt, getting off the couch, he's a pretty good running back. He just, he's made of glass, so he fell a bit. I still had a 4th round grade on him. If he was able to get in the right, team with the right medical, facilities where they can maybe not have him, getting taped up and having a surgery once every month or so, then this would be great value. I like the fit here too, especially being behind Joe Mixon. This is an A+ pick. They finished it off with Jordan Brown, the corner out of, I believe, South Dakota or South Dakota State, one of those two. I hadn't watched him, but many believed that he was going to go like round 3, round 4, and they got him in round 7, so I gave this a B. This was a very good draft for the Bengals. I ended up grading it as an A. Well, the Browns just keep getting better and better, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd ever have to say. Ever. Yeah, they brought in Olivier Vernon in a trade with the Giants. I feel like they brought someone else in from the Giants. Oh, yeah, that Odell Beckham guy they traded their 1st round pick for. Like, fuck, the Browns are actually becoming a scary team. And they got even scarier with this draft. What the fuck? What sorcery did John Dorsey pull for this to happen? How is Greedy Williams sitting there for you at 46? He was my number one corner. He was 14th on my board. Under no circumstances should he have been there at 46, and yet he was. Good on Cleveland for recognizing it. He's not even really a need for them. He's just there. Dorsey's going to take advantage of it. This is an A+. If I could add some more pluses, I would. This is like an A+++++. Like 5 pluses. This should not have been able to happen for them. Again, what, like, witchcraft and sorcery is John Dorsey pulling? I don't like their next pick, the Sione Takitaki pick. He's got an amazing name, but from what I watched of him, which was only 2 games, he wasn't really anything special. I don't think a third game would have really changed my mind. I kind of thought that if I had gotten that third game in, he probably would have been in that like 7th round or undrafted free agent area. This was, again, I've said this a lot in this video, universally considered a reach. This is a C. Sheldrick Redwine, the versatile defensive back out of the U, down there in Miami, taken at 119. I had him at 165. This was, again, really good value. Decent player, really versatile. Kind of figured that he was going to go around this range. I gave it a B-. I just thought that there were some better defensive backs still available. Mac Wilson, I mentioned him earlier. Wow. How did he fall this far? 155 overall. Now, yes, there was medical. There was the fact he really was not that good. He was like 2nd, 3rd round good, but like he wasn't, you know, your CJ Mosley, your Rashawn Evans type of like 1st round type of guy. But to have him fall that far is insane. I had him at 57. That's a 2nd round grade. This is an A+. Austin Seibert, the kicker, I believe he was out of Auburn. I could be wrong. I don't watch kickers. But I do know the Browns needed a kicker. So he was not on my board. I gave this an A. In brackets, they needed a kicker. Because the Browns could have been like 3-0 to start the season if they had actually had a kicker that could get it between the fucking uprights. Drew Forbes, I don't remember what position he played. I don't think I had even heard of him. Not on my board. This is a C. Donnie Lewis, again, I don't know who that is. Gave it a C. But, I mean, when you factor in the players I did know, I mean, when you get Greedy Williams at 46, you're already getting a good, a good grade. And when you get Mac Wilson at 155, you're guaranteed a great grade. I gave them an A- on this. Now to a team that I've really never liked their drafts. Whether it was Ozzy or it's DaCosta, I've really just never really liked the way they go with their drafts. I always think that they kind of get a little cute with it. Let's dive in. At 25, they get Marquise Brown out of Oklahoma. I had him at 53 even before the foot injury. So, like, I just was never a big fan of his. Thought he was small, thought he was susceptible to being hurt, and he's got a foot injury. So, yes, he is fast, and he is Tyreek Hill without the off-field issues. And I get what they're going for with this pick. You have an inaccurate quarterback with a strong arm, and you just can have Marquise Brown chase it down. I gave it a B-. I thought that there were better wide receivers available. I thought maybe they were going to go for more of like a jump ball specialist as a wide receiver in the 1st round. But I get it. I just don't really like it. At 85, getting Jalen Ferguson. Terrell Suggs just left the building, so why not get the guy that broke a sack record? Jalen Ferguson, 85 overall. I had him at 82. This is a good pick. I gave it an A. You just saw Zadarius Smith walk out the door. This is your Smith replacement. He is unathletic as fuck, but he just has a very good knack at getting to the quarterback. Back to another pick I really didn't like. Miles Boykin, the wide receiver out of Baltimore. I had him at 176. Like, this was several rounds too early. I gave this a C+. This is the jump ball specialist that I thought that they were going to get. They could have waited for him, though. Hakeem Butler was still on the board. Kelvin Harmon was still on the board. I don't understand this. Justice Hill, the kind of do-it-all, shifty running back, I compared him to Tyreek Hill. They got him at 111. I had him at 120. This is a great pick. I think he's going to do a lot of good things in that offense. I gave it an A. Another pick I really didn't like, though, was Ben Powers at 123. 207 overall. This was, again, a couple rounds too early. Gave it a C+. Now to a pick I absolutely hated from them. Amon Marshall, the corner out of USC. I had him at 264. I graded 270 players. So this... Amon Marshall is where guys stopped being given UDFA grades and started getting camp invite grades. I do not like this pick. I gave this a D-. At 160, they came back, got Dalen Mack, the defensive tackle out of Texas A&M, former 5-star recruit, just never did a thing at Texas A&M. Potential is there, just needs to be able to show it. I gave it an A. I had him at 167. Pretty good value. I'm not entirely sure why Trace McSorley was the pick at 197, but they decided to make that pick. I had him at 238. I had him as my last draftable grade. I gave it a B-. I guess they kind of want small, undersized, kind of athletic quarterback to back up a freak athlete in Lamar Jackson. I don't really understand it. I think that the picks that they hit on were good. I think that the picks that they missed on were pretty bad. They had a few A's, which really bumped up their grade. I ended up giving them a B+. This was not the best draft they could have had, but I have come to expect nothing less from the Ravens.